Welcome to today's Art Chat. I'm Laura Stiefelmar, and I'm an educator at the Ringling Museum. I'm using Art Chats to connect to community members who work outside the museum field to find out how they're being impacted by the coronavirus. Today, I'm talking to two people from Also Youth. Also Youth is a nonprofit that provides peer support services, educational programs, advocacy, and referrals for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and questioning youth ages 13 to 21, as well as their families and friends in the community. So here from Also Youth is Amanda Just, who is the program manager, and Amanda's joined by a special guest. We've got Merlin with us today as well, who is one of the young adults that she works with. So before we go any further, first of all, Merlin and Amanda, thank you so much for being here. And I'd like to just get your take on this image that I've selected for you today. This is a photograph from the Ringling's collection, and I'm just curious to hear what you make of this.
Ooh. What is the medium for this?
It's a photograph. I've got the information. I've got the, it's a gelatin silver print.
Okay.
So here's the information here, but I'll go back so that you've got more of a close-up image.
Okay.
It's got like a really mysterious kind of vibe to it, which I think is really neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what are you seeing in particular that makes you get that mysterious vibe?
Well, in like something to do with the filter in the background, but also in the sense that you kind of just barely know exactly what you're looking at, which gives it kind of a really interesting edge.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ambiguity in this image. Like you were saying, you kind of barely know what you're looking at. I really like that.
I like the black I like the black and white. That kind of adds to that mysterious feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that maybe the hands are in space, or maybe the hands are creating a galaxy or something in their hands. And I like the off to the left, the like speckly stardust situation happening.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you were referring to as the filter, the speckles?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that it's different on the left and the right.
Mm-hmm. I like, Amanda, that idea that you said it's either hands in space, so what would be these gigantic mega hands, or it's hands that are creating a universe, right? So depending on how you look at scale and perspective, it could go either way. I love that. So like I mentioned, this is a photograph from our collection, and it's Untitled, but it's from a portfolio that the artist has titled The Indomitable Spirit, which I love, right? That's kind of poetic.
Yeah.
And I chose this image because for me, it sort of represents the vastness of the universe, which includes all the scariness of the unknown, but also great possibilities for the future. And then framing that huge, unknowable vastness are these hands, this set of hands that are cradling and sort of providing comfort and maybe guidance. So I'm wondering if Also Youth functions as those comforting hands for you, Merlin, and if maybe the two of you could speak a little bit about how Also has helped shape you, or how, Amanda, how you see it help shaping the young adults that it serves.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, I definitely feel like Also Youth kind of, in a way, gave me direction in life. Like it didn't intend to, but going there, I really kind of learned so much about myself and what I wanted from life.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
Amanda, yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, that's great. And Amanda, have you seen similar sort of occurrences in other young adults that they didn't even realize they would come to the center and it's sort of given them direction or purpose the way it has for Merlin?
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like that could be applicable to every person who starts to come to Also. It becomes a safe space, it becomes a second home, a second family, a chosen family, that sort of thing. And whether it's directly participating in the advocacy that we do, or the peer support groups, or really just hanging out in our drop-in center, so directly or indirectly in those things, I feel that it has a really powerful influence on the youth we serve.
And this idea of power, right? This powerful influence. I mean, I see power represented in this photograph in a lot of different ways, sort of like potential power that's going to explode out, or the power of holding something in your hand. So I think that's a good term. And we know that, the center is so powerful in the work that you do. But, you've been closed now since mid-March, physically closed. So how have you adapted to online-only activities? What does that look like? Both Merlin from a participant side and Amanda from sort of a managerial side.
I mean, it's definitely great that we have adapted to online, because just because the doors are closed doesn't mean that the doors are closed metaphorically. You know, they're still very open and we're still reaching out to each other. And it's really, I think, kind of strengthened the community within also, because we're all going through this together and we're all still at each other's side, even though it's so hard to do that right now.
I'm glad that we can use online platforms. We're meeting at least 3 times a week on Zoom, and it's better than nothing, but it's just not the same. And even though we are online, and that makes us more accessible to some youth, especially youth who live in South County or even further away. We've had some participants from Northport and Port Charlotte. We often see youth from Bradenton. So for some youth, it's easier and they can actually get more also in their life. But on the flip side, we have youth who come to the center who unfortunately aren't living in affirming, accepting environments. So it's tricky because they don't necessarily have the privacy that they need or want. It's not a safe space for them to engage with us online. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. We're able to reach more youth in one way, and then we're kind of cut off from other youth in another way. At the center, the drop-in model is if you're at least 13, you don't need parent permission to be there. So we do have youth who come to the center whose families, parents, the people they live with, whomever, don't know that they come. And because we can't reach out to them, there are youth who I would see on a weekly basis, and I don't know how they're doing because I actually can't call them, I can't email them because it's not safe to do so. So I worry about those youth. I hope that they're safe and healthy and managing okay, but yeah, it's got good stuff being online, but I really wish we're back to being safe to having in-person activities. That said, moving forward, I feel very confident that we will continue having an online platform for connecting with youth because of those youth who have transportation problems or lack of accessibility to transportation, or it's just not feasible for them to come to the center on a regular basis as much as they want. So when it's safe to reopen the center and have face-to-face programs again, I am certain that we will continue having an online platform in addition to our face-to-face programs.
And I guess, yeah, that's something I never really thought about, but moving forward, I think all organizations are going to continue to use the digital programs and ideas that they've developed in addition to in-person, right? And returning to this photograph, it's sort of this idea like the internet is the world at your fingertips, or the universe at your fingertips, right? You've got it all there, and with that comes the good and the bad. But certainly, yeah, we're thinking about all the youth who are maybe not safe right now or not supported, and certainly realizing it's a hard time for them.
Yeah.
Merlin, I wanted to turn to you. You're Gen Z, right? You've spent your whole life on the internet, basically, right? So you've been connecting with people via the internet and social media for your whole life. So what advice do you have to older generations who might be listening to this about staying connected? How do you take care of yourself? How do you stay positive? And you know, what's sort of your Gen Z take on using the internet to stay connected?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think it's really important to sort of do what you can, because while the internet meetups and stuff can be really amazing and really stress relieving, you know, there still is kind of this pandemic happening, and the internet can be really overwhelming for some people. So I think kind of doing what you can and acknowledging, like, if you miss a call, or I know some of my friends have missed a couple school meetings because they just don't have it in them to really force themselves to do anything. They're just kind of trying to be a little bit more relaxed about it. So doing what you can and doing what you enjoy, but don't force yourself to, you know, be on the internet 24/7, because that's what's I think is being kind of expected of some people right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And that can be so exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I know you both have a lot that you're managing, but I wanted to give the last word to you. What message or what would you want anyone listening to this art chat to have or to know?
As far as coping through the pandemic or about
Anything about the center or your own experience, if there's just any sort of thing you wanted to share with our audiences.
Well, to piggyback off of what Merlin said about taking breaks and being kind to yourself and all that sort of thing, it is exhausting being online. And this has been sort of circulating on social media. We're not really, I mean, yes, we're working at home, but we're also working during a pandemic. We're doing school during a pandemic. So I feel like we all need to kind of check ourselves before we wreck ourselves and not feel obligated to take on so much, not feel obligated to hop on every call, even if it's a social call. People are doing a lot of creative things over Zoom and different platforms, but it's okay to just check out. I know for me, I need a break from screens for my eyeballs, and too many Zoom calls in a day just leaves me exhausted. So doing that, getting outside, getting fresh air in a safe way, taking a walk around your neighborhood, just sitting in the sunshine is really nice too.
Yeah, definitely that element of self-care is so important.
Yeah. And as far as also programs go, it is open to new participants. So if someone has never been to the center before, as always, you are welcome to join us. My email is amanda@alsoyouth.org. So if you're listening to this during the pandemic or after the pandemic, reach out anytime because we would love to meet you and support you and have fun with you in whatever capacity is right for you.
Amazing. Well, enough screen time for everybody. We'll end this Zoom call now and end this art chat. And thank you both so much. I chose a really difficult image and you handled it great. You had some really wonderful insight. I knew you would be up to the challenge. So I will let you both go, but take care of yourselves, stay safe, and continue that great work. And hopefully the center can safely open sooner rather than later. But
yeah, thank you for having us, Laura. This was fun.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Merlin. All right. Bye.
Bye.